listening to The Breakfast Show on Faith FM with Skafy and Lindsay, and we have producer Tish as well. We have been talking about the story of Elijah in our first segment here, and God's provision to us when everything else is failing. If you missed any part of that, you can catch us up later today. Our podcast will be released and you can listen to it again, or you can share it with your friends, with your church members, whoever you would like to share that message with. Now, producer Tish, can you please give us a brand new quiz question for this new segment?
Did we answer the other question?
I don't remember.
Good question.
I don't think we did.
Maybe we forgot.
How about I tell everyone the answer? Because I also don't think I did. So the answer for the last quiz question, apologies guys, was in Psalms 23, the Lord prepares a table in whose presence, and that was his enemies.
We did actually.
Yeah,
We did?
that's
Okay,
right.
let's move on.
No, I didn't. I don't think
Yeah,
we did.
because I said that it wasn't my favorite verse.
No, I think we said about that in the beginning. There you go. So God prepares us a table in the presence of our enemies.
Okay.
He's not ashamed to call us friends in public.
Yeah.
Tish, all right.
Next
So
one.
that's the next one.
All right. This is fill in the blank this time. So it's set a blank, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the doors of my lips. 0491064669. We have one correct answer.
Okay, say that
Waiting
again one
for
more
another
time.
One. Set a blank, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Bit
Okay,
of a-
one more
might have
time.
Stopped some people. Set a blank, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. A bit of a clue.
Skafy is
It's
scratching
in
his head.
Psalms. We have another correct sort of answer. We are accepting many different translations at the moment. So if you think you know something along the right idea, please text us in on 0491 Set a blank, O Lord, before my mouth, keep the door of my lips. What is the answer to that one? Let us know.
Alrighty. What a good fill in the blank we got today. Awesome. Okay, well, let's jump into our good news story
Okay.
for this morning.
Talking about ladies in Japan, the
Yeah.
Yakult delivery ladies, are they the ones, or yogurt delivery?
Yeah.
What do they deliver?
So Skafy, you've spent some time in Japan.
Yes, I have.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, when you tell me about it, then I will know if I know or not.
Okay, so what's your impression of Japan? When you've been there, what are some things that you've noticed?
Oh, look, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
I noticed that one of the things that there's no rubbish bins anywhere.
Okay.
People just carry plastic bags with them and they take care of their own rubbish bins. So that's one thing. The food there is absolutely delicious.
Okay. Yeah.
People are very polite.
Okay.
There's a lot of people, 99% of them Japanese.
Yeah.
So you don't really see many foreigners there. So you do stand out whenever you are
Head
walking.
and shoulder above everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what else have I noticed? And yeah, these are some of the things. Look, they have really delicious foods, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think that I know where you're wanting me to go, but I haven't seen that though.
What?
In Japan, there's a lot of elderly people.
Yes.
But you cannot see this.
Really?
No, because when you're going to the big bustling cities like Tokyo and so on, the majority of the people are actually young people.
There you go. I wasn't aware of that.
No,
I've never been.
so the
that's
elderly
interesting.
people in Japan, they do have an elderly position. They are in the villages,
Right.
in the outskirts, and in the rural areas. And actually, in a lot of these rural areas, one of the things that I did notice in Japan is that there's a lot of just empty homes, empty houses. Actually,
yes.
if you want a house,
They're very cheap in Japan.
sometimes you
Go
can
move to
grab a
Japan.
house for absolutely free.
Wow.
They're just look, can someone just take that house?
Wow.
Because there's just not enough
It's just
people
gonna
to
fall
occupy.
to
So it's-
disrepair if nobody's there to look
Yes,
after
and
it.
sometimes there's some dark stories attached to
Yeah.
that house of family tragedies and so on. And for the Japanese, they
Don't
have some
want to.
superstition they don't want to. But for West, it's like, look, I don't believe in ghosts or
No.
bad energy, these kinds of things. So just go for it. But yeah, so what has your story to do with any of that? Actually,
Well, definitely it has to do with the elderly population because I believe it's about 30% of the population of Japan is over the age of 65.
oh wow,
That is massive. It is definitely an aging population. But we'll get to that in a moment because we're talking about the Yakult ladies of Japan. Now, Yakult is a brand of yogurt. And
It's kind of like a fermented milk.
yeah,
More than a yogurt.
I haven't really tried it myself, I don't think.
Oh, you haven't tried Yakult?
I don't think so.
It's massive in Brazil
do
as well.
great
Kind
with-
of every Brazilian kid grew up with it.
Sure.
And in Japan, they do have that.
I've seen it on the shelves here in Australia. It's just not something that we've had in my home growing up. So, but from this story that I've been reading, it says that basically Yakult started in Japan about 100 years ago at the start of the 20th century in a time where bacteria was just discovered to be the thing that makes people sick. So it was kind of struggle.
Hey, here you go. You have
Making
milk
sales.
with bacteria.
Yeah, so they decided, okay, well, we need a really competent sales force. So let's send out some door-to-door salespeople. And with the war taking place then, they were like, well, a lot of men are not available to be part of the sales force. Women are more available. And hey, this seems to be working because women are the ones who usually do the grocery shopping. And so they're more likely to actually listen to the advice of a woman explaining the benefits of this particular type of bacteria milk stuff. Right? And so over the decades, this has just transformed into a thing where women who work for Yakult go door to door and they sell or deliver these packets of yogurt or milk or whatever it is. I don't really
Fermented
know.
milk.
The fermented milk and stuff. And so, yeah, it's become just a national thing that happens. And in fact, it's actually spread to other countries like in India and different places as well where this happens. But this is largely in Japan. And the women who go from door to door, meeting up with these elderly people, for a lot of these elderly people, they don't necessarily see anybody else during the week. Like, this is the one touch point that
Wow.
they can rely on,
Wow.
right?
Yes,
And
I
it's
can
just
see that.
it's just salespeople. It's just sales ladies coming from door to door. And it says that an average Yakult lady will go working about 4 days a week, and they will visit from 30 to 50 homes. And I'm like,
A day.
No, in the week.
In the week, yeah.
Well, I would assume in the week. And I'm thinking, okay, that's not a very high volume of visits to get their sales done, right? Like, they could be doing a lot more. But the thing is, they're stopping and chatting with these people. And they're asking them, and they've considered themselves, they've taken on this identity, these Yakult ladies, as the watchers in the society. They're the ones who know if the elderly lady is starting to decline in their health, or, will know if something's happened to
Wow.
them from one week to the next. They also know, if they've taken up yoga or whatever it is since the last time they've chatted. They're the ones who are chatting with them and connecting and just building community, honestly. They're the people who are keeping an eye out for these elderly people if there's nobody else in their lives. Isn't that beautiful?
It is beautiful.
I love that. It's like just such a random thing that has developed in the past 100 years.
Yes.
Where it's like, okay, there's a business, they're trying to sell their stuff. Women seem to do
They're
a better
actually
job.
caring for people.
And they're turning that into a care service in society, which they desperately need, particularly in that aging society that
Wow.
it is.
That is really amazing. It makes me think of that Bible study that you and I were having in the show a few days ago on Colossians. We put on this heart of caring. And this is what they're doing, because they could just say, yeah, nobody is listening, nobody's answering the door, let's just move on. No, they know that there's an elderly person that lives there, that always, chats with them. If they're not answering the door, this is an alarm.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is ringing the alarm. And they would be visiting them on a pretty consistent, regular basis.
Exactly.
I would say probably weekly.
Yeah.
And therefore they know what's happening, they know what's going on, they know if they're needing help, they will be the first port of. And the Japanese people, they really care. I remember seeing these videos in Japan where this delivery truck would, make a bit of a sharp curve, and then all of its contents that it was transporting just falling off into the street.
Yeah.
And what would happen is that everybody would stop their cars. Everybody would stop their busy days. Japanese people are busy people. Everybody would stop. They will leave their cars. They will help to collect the bottles, the cans, whatever has come out of the truck, put it back into the truck. And once the truck was ready to go, then they'll get back to their cars and resume their days.
Yeah.
They are we have that in Australia as well. I think this is one of the things that I am the proudest of.
Being Australian.
Yeah, Australian, the Australian people. We have that really spirit of mateship.
Yes.
So particularly we see this when there's floods, when there's bushfires, when there's natural disasters. We really care for each other. People stop whatever they're doing. Say, hey, look, let's help one another.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. And in Japan, they do have that as a big national value themselves as well.
Yeah.
And these Yakult ladies, and it makes me think a little bit about like the humble church volunteers.
Yeah, exactly.
These ladies and gentlemen that are working in perhaps, as the treasurer of the church or as the deacon or in the greeting or in the children's Bible class, whatever it is, behind the scenes sometimes. These Yakult ladies, they could see themselves as we are just selling, fermented milk, but they see themselves as we are actually the ones who are watching for the well-being of our elders. And I think it's the same thing in churches. We're not just, the teaching the
programs.
children's Bible class.
Yeah.
We are building God's kingdom on earth.
Yeah, connecting, checking in, discipling, teaching about Jesus or about growing in Christ. Yeah.
It's really seeing you a part of this bigger picture.
Yeah.
Of what you're doing. I think this is absolutely crucial. We are all, as we are called to be followers of Jesus, we're also called sometimes to very humble jobs, humble works. But ultimately, what we're doing, we are representatives of the kingdom of heaven in this planet. We are helping God in his mission of giving people eternal life. And I think this is really, what greater, more noble objective or mission can any mortal person have, if not to cooperate in God's own mission of saving and rescuing souls and granting people access to eternal life?
Yeah.
Love it. What a great story. Thanks for sharing.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And now it is time for Tish to give us another quiz answer. What was the answer to that last quiz question?
Yeah, so this one was a fill in the blanks, and we were looking for the blank that came from set a something, O Lord, before my mouth, keep the door of my lips. And the answer to that one was watch. Set a watch or a guard, O Lord, before my mouth, and keep the door of my lips, which is found in Psalms 141, verse 3.
Wow, powerful. Thank you very much, Tish. All right, Lindsay, I want to talk to you about a big thing that is happening. So buckle up for that one. It's a bit of a wild story. So Tucker Carlson, do you know who he is?
Yes, I have seen him floating through the internet on occasion.
So Tucker Carlson is a very much beloved, particularly on the conservative side of politics in the United States.
Is true.
He used to be like a prime time TV show, political commenter.
Sure.
So he had the primetime program at Fox News. I think he got sacked in 2023. So that's in the Biden era.
Right.
And then he just started his own podcast and YouTube channel. This guy has millions and millions of views. He is really outspoken. He has had, even though he has been conservative, he was not a Christian until recently. He has been having a conversion experience into Christianity as well, and he's quite outspoken about that. And one of the things that Tucker Carlson is mentioning is that he's opposing this war in Iran a lot. So he has been traditionally a big supporter of President Trump.
Sure.
A big supporter of the MAGA movement in the United States, but he has also been very vocal against Israel, particularly Israel's war against Hamas, and now Israel's war in Iran. And he's basically saying, look, we look what we are doing through this war. We are disrupting the oil flow to the rest of the world. This is not our war. America has nothing to do with this. Iran is not our problem. I know that some people believe that Iran would have nuclear weapons. We cannot do this. But look, the majority of the American population is not in support of that war. It's our taxpayer dollars that are going through this. And he says, this is Israel's war. Let Israel fight it. We don't need to fight that war ourselves. They were very well and truly capable of doing that themselves. But he says he has a moral issue with that war in particular.
Okay.
So I was listening to his podcast, and he says that Benjamin Netanyahu repeatedly called both the Hamas and Iranians as Amalek.
Oh, okay.
Now, Amalek, for those who are not too familiar with that story from the Old Testament, was a group of people. They were descendants of Esau.
Yes.
And they were descendants of Esau through their mother, who was a concubine of Esau. Esau never really claimed her to be a full wife. And Amalek was the descendant from that line. So they grew up with this hatred against the Israelites.
Yeah.
And so much so that when the Israelites were crossing the desert, they were struggling, they were lacking water. And the Amalek, seeing that opportunity, seeing their vulnerability, they decided to gratuitously attack the Israelites. And the Israelites fought back. And one of the commands in the Torah is like, remember what Amalek has done, and remember how God dealt with them. But part of the thing that has happened to the Amalekites, they were so evil that God told Israel, look, you're going to wipe them out.
Yeah.
We cannot leave any of them remaining for what they've done and so on.
And then Haman, back in the time, like Esther was an Amalekite descendant, an Agagite.
A descendant. There you go.
Yeah.
So what Tucker Carlson
That was Persia,
taking,
which is Iran today.
Yes.
Yeah.
What Tucker Carlson has been taking an issue with is that, said, look, we as Americans and as a Christian nation, we don't believe in this, shared guilt philosophy.
Okay.
The shared guilt philosophy says if you, and a lot of Middle Eastern countries have that. Tucker Carlson says that Israel has that mindset, part of their theology.
Okay.
And their worldview, which is if you committed a sin
thousands of years ago,
you have if you commit a sin right now, not only you have to pay, but your mom has to pay, your dad has to pay, your children have to pay, your entire nation has to pay.
Yeah.
And this is why, according to Carlson, Israel, when they were not as chirurgical as they could have been, for example, in the Hamas war. This is why he was calling that a genocidal war. So this is Tucker Carlson. He's a massive right-wing political commentator in the United States. And he says, look, as us as Americans, we cannot agree with that because we don't believe in shared guilt. We believe that if you have sinned, you are responsible for it.
Yeah.
Not your family, not your country, not people that shared blood lines with you, none of that. So that is his big ethical moral constraint, but he's saying he's seeing a darker agenda in that war. He's kind of seeing that war leading to a great reset and to the establishment of technological elites. Tucker Carlson has always have a fling with all kinds of interesting conspiracy theories.
Yeah, okay.
He was one of the big anti-COVID advocates, anti-vaccine advocates in the United States, and COVID and so on. So a lot of people listen to him because they see him as a guy that he speaks for them. But now this latest thing is that is happening. You're going to be listening straight from Tucker Carlson here because I think this is quite interesting. I'm going to play a little clip here, so listen to this one.
Is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that. Nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too.
All right, so that was a snippet of Tucker Carlson's statement on that one. I do not know if you were able to catch it at the very beginning because I think it was cut a little bit, but the CIA is prosecuting him, and they were reading his messages. He's being accused of working as a spy for Iran.
Wow.
Now, there's some interesting conspiracy theories around that, because Tucker Carlson has been invited to the White House, to the Oval Office, to talk to Donald Trump 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
A little bit more, maybe a couple of weeks before the attack on Iran started. And reportedly, Donald Trump would have said to Tucker Carlson that, hey, we are not planning to attack Iran. Tucker Carlson would then relay that information to Iranian leaders who were caught off guard. This is why the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed in that first wave of attack.
Okay.
So Donald Trump would know that he was being a bit of a double agent.
And he used
he used that. But at the
Oh.
same time, he's also using that to say, hey, my suspicions that you were communicating strategic U.S. information to Iranians has been confirmed. Therefore, we are going to
kick you out.
formally persecute you. So Donald Trump says that he lost his track, that he's not part of the MAGA movement anymore.
Okay, so he played him, and he
This
found out.
is some of the conspiracies out there. Some of the reports that are coming out there in even through traditional media.
Okay, alrighty.
So that is an interesting thing. Well, one of the things that Tucker Carlson said is that these people in their theology, they are wanting to force the hand of God so that they can accelerate wars in the Middle East, the rebuilding of the temple, and a potential Armageddon and the end of times. So according to Tucker Carlson, this is a theological war. I found it fascinating
Sure.
that he linked all of that with theology, with the Bible, with the end time events, and saying, hey, this is what their worldview is. They are wanting to, because in that theory, by removing Iran from the scene and removing all the Iran proxies and allies and terrorist groups in the region, there will be nothing stopping Israel from demolishing the mosque, the Al-Aqsa Mosque that is currently sitting at the Temple Mount, and rebuilding the temple, which for a lot of evangelical Bible commentators,
Zionists.
this is ushering
Yeah.
the second coming of Jesus.
Sure.
The temple needs to be built. They make that as
Right.
Now, I personally, I don't think that this is a requirement for the Messiah to come. Actually, we have done an entire special program, an episode about where are these people having these ideas about the rebuild of the third temple in the Bible. It's a special show with me and Danny Milenkov. So if you are interested, text me here, #Israel, and we'll send you the link to that one. But I find it quite interesting. Now, this is not the first time that Tucker Carlson is caught in some controversies. The NSA, which is another intelligence agency in the United States, they have plenty of them. And actually, I do not know if you know this, like the more specialized they are, the more letters they have to their names.
Right, yeah.
So they have NSA, CIA, and then like the more secretive they get, they start adding more and more
Sure.
syllables.
Yeah.
And because he interviewed in 2023, I think he was the first foreigner journalist to interview President Vladimir Putin.
Wow. Yeah, I remember.
You remember that?
I remember people having an issue with him because he was going to Russia and talk to Russia.
That's right.
And he's like, I'm doing my job, bro.
He's saying, look, I'm doing my job. I'm a journalist. But other people are saying, no, you're serving as a platform so you can do Russian propaganda. Or in this case, you're doing Iranian propaganda. because from the Israelites' perspective, Benjamin Netanyahu and so on, they're saying, look, just because we're saying Amalek does not mean that we're meaning the wiping out of the entire country. It just means that it was just the Torah passage of that week. We're just saying, hey, just remember, not saying anything beyond that. So they're kind of, and then Tucker Carlson saying, no, you're meaning everything that's behind it.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing that I get of all of that is that we do definitely need to be very careful of how we communicate, particularly around the leaders of a country, because it is very easy for a leader to become offended with something that you have to say, and because of that, they ended up cutting short all of your ability to minister or to preach the gospel of Jesus. That's number one. Number two, as Christians, I think that our mission is to proclaim the kingdom of heaven, the gospel of the kingdom. And sometimes when we do have controversial, or as he mentioned, dissenting political commentaries about things, I think that, for a Christian perspective, is often quite wise not to express these. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if this is going to go anywhere, if he's going to be persecuted or not, but certainly something very interesting that shows a little bit of the signs of the times, that even in the country of freedom can be relative. But the ultimate freedom that is not relative is the freedom that we have in Jesus. This one, we're always called to share.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And who is this new voice that we have here in the studio?
Mate, I'm back. I'm back.
Lawson
This isn't a rerun.
Walters.
This is live.
The GOAT is here. This is not an AI modification of Lindsay's voice.
That would be hectic, though.
Yeah,
that would be
people
so
can do that.
Imagine you just go away and we just chuck a AI voice changer on.
There's like an AI robot in my place here.
100%.
We have the Lawson Walters here with us. For those of you who are new to the show, Lawson and I used to be, like Batman and Robin here, like Luther and Melanchthon in the show. We are like the co-host, the best mates here on the studio. But Lawson got famous. He got called in to play in higher leagues.
Sure.
And so we ended up not being able to cover his salary, his contract aspirations, kind of like the
that is like
the Kyle and Jackie O sort of level. And but now Lawson is back here, and he's going to be giving us a series of studies about one of the things that he's absolutely passionate and experienced about, which is friendship evangelism. How do you talk about God to your friends? Lawson, look, let me just say this. My heart is leaping with joy by seeing your resemblance here today. So thank you so much for coming, man.
Yeah, look, I'm stoked to be here. I'm keen to be in the studio again because I love it. A lot of people have asked me, Lawson, not doing Faith FM anymore. Is that because you got sick of it? Did you get sick of Skafy or whatever it may be? I'm like, no way. Like, I love Faith FM. I love supporting Faith FM. Everywhere I go, I talk about Faith FM. I'm like, this is a ministry, and a radio station that is blessing people.
Yeah. And by the way, just for people, like we were joking here about the whole, Kyle and Jackie O thing here. Lawson just got an opportunity to be more involved in full-time church pastoral ministry at his current church plant and his church in Newcastle University. Yeah. That's why he's not with us anymore. He's dedicating a little bit more time for that, but it's good to have you here.
Yeah, and amazing things have been happening in that space. I'm pastoring at this church. My wife has also taken a year off work to finish up her studies, but that's lent her more time and to spend time with me. And
wonderful. That's so good.
Reaching, students and staff at Newcastle Uni and using a type of ministry, a type of evangelism you introduce as friendship evangelism. I'm going to broaden the term a little bit. I'm just going to call it personal ministry. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean by personal ministry? Now, some people, if you're involved in church, know that we have in various churches personal ministries departments. So a lot of churches will have a department called personal ministries, and they'll be working out and finding ways how to do personal ministry. Now, what personal ministry is essentially personally ministering to others. Right? So you as a person saying, how can I be a blessing to someone else specifically, individually? This kind of thing. This is what we see as personal ministry. And the reason why we tie that to friendship evangelism, the term you used before, is because I believe one of the best ways that you can personally minister to others is through friendship. Now, the reason I believe this is because of a number of experiences I've had. Firstly, how I became a Christian and what brought me into the fold of Christianity in the church, but also my experience in reaching others as well. I want to read a quote, and then I want to read a story, and then I want to share some of my findings and some ideas and whatnot that I've derived from them.
But just before we start, can I ask you a question? Because for some people listening to it, particularly our listening friends that are not Christians, they say, so does it mean that every time that I'm having a Christian as a friend, is there like second intentions? It's just like I'm just a number. It's just so that he can approach me and preach, and try to convert me and preach the gospel. Is that what friendship evangelism is all about?
No, it's essentially when we say friendship evangelism, we're talking here about a lifestyle and a philosophy that is, I believe that the best thing for my life is to follow Jesus. And I also believe that it would be a great thing for other people. Now, the way that I interact with people and the way that I make friends, because as humans, as people, we naturally make friends with others that have, similar interests, or, even people that can be quite different, but through, kindness and courteousness and connection and relationship, we naturally make friends. The idea of friendship evangelism is, how can I, take this friendship that I'll have with a person that I'm interested in being friends with, and just in that friendship, give someone the opportunity to know more about God with no strings attached. Like, it's not that your friendship is based on whether these people take that opportunity that you're giving them to know more about Jesus, but it's, hey, like, and you can apply this in any way. Like, a lot of people, let's say, like, take something that is a great interest to someone and has benefited their life a lot. I know for some people it's a diet, for some people it's a type of exercise. You would be a good friend if you let's say you enacted a diet. Maybe you started intermittent fasting. You eat 2 meals a day, and you've like lost a bunch of weight, feel heaps healthier, like skin's clearer, all this kind of stuff. You're like, man, I want everyone to know this. Like, the first people you tell about it is your mates. You'd call them up and say, hey, this is like so amazing. You should try this out. Now,
that actually happened to me, that exact example. A friend of mine was intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
She was like glowing and saying, it's amazing. So, you know what? I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And I decided to try it because of her.
Now, the point that I'm making is that, like, you can do that with Jesus, and you can see very clearly whether that person starts intermittent fasting or not. Like, if your friend reached out to you and said, you need to try intermittent fasting, you said, no, I'm not really into it. Is that friend going to like drop off the face of the earth and never talk to you again? It's like, no way. No, but how can you, through the friendships that you have, love and show people Jesus? How can you do that? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Now, I want to read to you a quote. This is by a writer named Ellen White. And she says this quote is titled Christ's Method Alone. It's a famous quote. It says this: Christ's method alone will give true success in reaching the people. The Savior mingled with people as one who desired their good. He showed sympathy for them, ministered to their needs, and won their confidence. Then he invited them, follow me. And so what Ellen White is getting at here, what she's deriving from the actions of Jesus, is that the way that Jesus thought about people is, he looked at people, he said, what is their need? He met those needs with sympathy, tenderness, and care, and then he followed that through with giving them an invitation to follow him, or to know more about him, to know more about God. And this is how we can organize and, demonstrate to people the love of God. And this is how we can think about our lives. Now, I want to show you a story where this is the case.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite stories in the Bible, like top story. It's in Acts chapter 9. It's the story of a lady named Dorcas, or Tabitha, but I like to call her Dorcas because Dorcas is such an awesome name. And essentially this story is about this lady named Dorcas, and she's in a city called Joppa, and she gets sick and dies. So this is the situation. Now, the city, those that are Christian and those that aren't Christian, are so devastated by this that they come together in community. Both sides of the aisle here come together and say, we need to solve this problem because Dorcas is amazing. We hate that she's died. And the Christians are like, well, let us try something. They reach out to Peter and they invite Peter to come and to solve this problem. And by solve this problem, I mean attempt to resurrect her.
Wow.
Like imagine being so loved by your community that not only do lots of people show up at your funeral, but they're like,
who can resurrect this lady? We need her back.
Who can sort this out because we love her. Now, the reason why Dorcas was so loved is because she served her community faithfully. She looked at her community and she said, what is the greatest needs in my community? And one that she saw was a ministry to the widows. So she would make tunics for the widows and love and care for them. Widows at this time, 2,000 years ago, were some of the most vulnerable people in society. And so she is ministering to the needs of these vulnerable people. Anyways, this amazing miracle happens. Peter rocks up, resurrects her from the dead, which is awesome. And it says this in verse 42 of Acts chapter 9. It says, and it became known throughout all Joppa, and many believed on the Lord. So it was that Peter, stayed many days in Joppa. So essentially, what I can see here is that the power of this miracle, like imagine if Dorcas was like actually a really terrible person and she got resurrected. Do you think like all the people in the town would be like super stoked? I mean, I'm being a little bit facetious. I'm being a bit facetious, but because Dorcas is loving and serving her community and meeting the needs of her community, when her amazing miraculous resurrection happens, it says many believed on the Lord. So you've got many Christians in Joppa, but those that are on the other side of the aisle that just know Dorcas as the person who loves their community, who serves the widows, who is always down to be there for others, they believe because they're like, wow, like this is incredible. And here I can see a bit of a model for the kind of ministry we're talking about here, personal ministry or friendship evangelism, which is when you meet the needs of people as a loving and lovable Christian, when they have some kind of encounter and interaction with God, which they will because everyone does. Everyone does. I have a friend I met at the university, been friends, then just texts me out of the blue. Dude, I cannot sleep. I've been having dreams every night about God and I need to understand them. And so he's texting, he's like, yeah, I need to meet up. So I'm going to catch up with this person today. These are the kinds of things. Everyone will have some kind of encounter with God. And I think all of us listening can think back and say, yeah, that was a really strange thing that happened in my life. And it was very miraculous and spiritual. I have no way to explain it. If there is the presence in someone's life of someone who meets their needs, who represents Jesus, that natural, connection can happen.
And how do you meet someone's friendship needs? Because this is a genuine need. Like this is one thing that, because often when you think about Christian ministries, we think about Dorcas, she's a seamstress. She's, creating these tunics for women and widows and children that are at risk and they're poor, they cannot afford. But then you come to Australia, kind of like people have like basic access to healthcare. Most people that you meet, they have a roof in their heads. We are living in a place, in a moment of the economy. Maybe that will change, but so far people have jobs and all these kinds of things. So you kind of tend to think, man, like most people they already have everything. How can we meet the needs of people who seemingly have everything? Yeah.
I want to read you some statistics really quickly. Okay. So it's an estimated 1 in 3, that's 33 Australians, have an episode, 33% of Australians have an episode of loneliness every single year. In April 2020, almost half, 46% of respondents to a specific survey that I'm referencing here, felt lonely during the past week. Now that's during COVID, but I would say, like people are struggling with loneliness. Now going to young Australians, which is the kind of area that I'm working in, 57% of young people said they lack companionship sometimes or always. 55% of young people said that they sometimes or always feel left out. Young adults reported more loneliness than adolescents. So coming out of schooling age into that, 18 to 25 or 18 to 30 year old age. Yeah, young adults are reporting high levels of loneliness. And then finally, I want to say this. According to the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, the biggest killer among 15 to 24-year-olds is suicide. 37% of the deaths in that age group. And so what we're seeing here is that people are struggling and literally dying for friendship and companionship. And this is something that for our church and what we're doing and in my personal life, we've gone, okay, let's meet this need. Let's make friends. And what that has led to in my life is just so many blessings to me, because I've got friends from all over the world and all different places. I mean, I'm really privileged to be on a university campus, a big public university campus where people literally come from all over the world to study. So I have a very interesting social life. But I've started to, because of putting the picture together here, I've started to live my life in a way that is, hey, how can I, in every situation that I'm in, for everyone that I meet, how can I make a friend? And then as a result of that friendship, introduce someone to Jesus. I'll just give one example. Man, there's so many stories. I'm like filtering through my head, like, oh, which one should I share? Which one should I share? But look, I'll share this one. So, we at Newcastle University, we have a student club there. It's a Christian student club. And through that Christian student club, we like run events and run a church and through that club then meet people, right? So we set up at O Week or Orientation Week, we set up a booth and we invite people to our various events. So one day we're sitting there in the booth, in O Week, and there's like a guy comes walking past. His name's Tom. Tom is a new student from China. He's just come over. He's lived in Australia actually for a couple of years, but recently he just started his master's here in Newcastle. And so I see Tom walking by and I'm like, hey, do you, and start like showing off the different events we're running and stuff. And he's like, oh, that looks interesting. I'm like, hey, Tom, where are you from? Oh, I'm from China. Oh, which part of China? Oh, I'm from here. And we just start, talking about, oh, what are you studying? Talking about life. I'm like, oh, Tom, do you like hot pot, which is a type of Chinese food? And he's like, oh, just before I continue, I got something really funny to say. Last week, I met someone who listens to Faith FM regularly, and they're like, oh, you're Lawson from The Breakfast Show. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, oh, you're not on The Breakfast Show anymore. I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, man, it's surprising. I thought you were Asian. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, well, you're always talking about like Asian food. And I'm like, fair enough. I'm not Asian. If you thought I was Asian, I'm actually as white as they get. I got a Ranger beard. So, that's the life I'm living. Anyways, Tom, oh, dude, do you like eating hot pot? He's like, yeah, I love it. Oh man, Tom, you're like new to Newcastle. You should come over to our place and eat hot pot. And he's like, actually, Lawson, you should come to my place and eat hot pot and we should make a party out of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. Can I invite people? He's like, yeah, sure. And so I'm there at the booth and then people walking past meeting. I'm like, hey, do you like hot pot? They're like, yeah. Anyways, what it ends up with is there's like 12, 15 people in this guy's house where me and my wife, we're cooking and hosting. We're cooking and kind of, hosting the people. Tom is hosting us in his house. We've brought all these people that we've never met before together to eat hot pot. We're like eating and having a great time and whatnot. And before I'm like, hey guys, you met us at the ASOC booth. Do you mind if we pray? Because we're Christians. We love praying. They're like, yeah, let's pray. And so these guys, they start praying with us. And then now like, so much of that group. Now we've like created a friend group of random people who didn't previously know each other. Like we were just at the
all
beach,
around the hot pot.
All around hot pot. They're like, we're at the beach last week all together, like hanging out. Like this is our group now. And heaps of them are now studying the Bible with us just because we were interested in their interests. And then I just asking them individually, like, oh, what do you think about God? Yeah, I've got so many questions. All right, let's open the Bible. Oh, what do you think about God? Yeah, I'm a Buddhist, but I'd love to get to know more about Christianity. Like this is where it started and this is what it is now, is that we've got all, studying the Bible with all these people that are interested about Jesus, and they don't feel like, oh, Lawson's come to us with an agenda. No, they're our friends. They're our friends. We spend heaps of time together as friends, but I've been interested in their interests, like hot pot or whatever it may be. And then they're in return interested in my interests, which is Jesus. And as a result, they're having real life-changing, amazing experiences. And so, look, I want to say this as well. Like what I'm doing, it sounds pretty big scale. Maybe you're an introvert and you're like, oh, 10 people in my house at once, or 12 people or 15 people in my house at once. I don't know about that. But just find one person just to, ask them, where are you from? What are you about? What's your story? And, that interest in them will cultivate from them interest in you. And as they become interested in you, they'll ask the question, oh, well, why do you follow Jesus? The door will open. You've made a friend, and now you get to share Jesus with them. This is where we're going to leave what we're talking about today. We're going to leave it here. And what we're going to have a look at next time I come in is then, if you've made a friend with someone who's interested in Jesus, how can you share a simple, effective Bible study with them? We're going to have a look at that one next time. But yeah, hey,
sounds great.
Make a friend, share Jesus with them.
Thank you very much. I love it. I love how you mentioned, look, when we become interested, genuinely interested in people, in their habits and so on, that builds that friendship.
Yeah.
And from that friendship, this is what friends do. They talk about stuff. They talk about everything. And why should God not be among that stuff that friends
100%.
talk about? Actually,
Right.
I think it's the best place to talk about is with someone that you trust and you can share that experience. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for sharing with us some of these stories, Lawson. And we are looking forward to have you again with us next time for this one.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.